Hi, welcome to LearnEx Academy. Today we're going to talk about the critical reading section on the SAT. So we'll review a few basics and tips, and we'll also look at a few practice questions. The critical reading section actually consists of 3 sections. Okay, you have one section relating to vocabulary words, so you're looking at context clues. And then other 2 sections are relating to reading passages and answering questions. It's advisable that you focus on those sentence completion questions first because they don't take as much time as reading the passages. And those double passage questions always really occupy a lot of time. So you can follow a 3-step method to answering the questions, keeping in mind that you have limited time. Okay, so you have to think about time management and trying to answer as many questions as possible, keeping in mind that it's important to use educated guess rather than just making a guess, because if you answer a question incorrectly, it can work against your score rather than for your score. Okay, so those sentence completion questions are easier to do because they don't take as much time. And you can also use the process of eliminations. It may be obvious that some of the words just don't fit according to context. So it's really important to practice using context clues and the different types of context clues to fill in the vocabulary words in the sentences, because it's really difficult in regards to the vocabulary words that are provided. It's not possible for you to memorize all the vocabulary words that could possibly be on the SAT. So they're really measuring your ability to understand words based on context. After you've finished the sentence completion questions, then you can look at the reading passages. So let's look at a few examples of the sentence completion questions. Okay, so here we've got one where we're supposed to put 2 words in the sentence. So it's important that we read through it and see if we can identify any context clues that could help us identify which words fit best in the sentence. Now, when you have 2 vocabulary words, one may fit, but the other one may not. So let's see if you can eliminate a few of them on your own. Okay, so the answer is E. On a couple of them, it's obvious that they just don't fit. For example, extend, hoping to extend the dispute. I definitely don't want to extend the dispute. That doesn't make any sense, because if I understand what negotiators are, they're trying to alleviate the problem. They're trying to make it go away. Okay, satisfactory may fit, but we definitely know it doesn't make sense to say hoping to extend a dispute. I don't want an argument to continue. I want it to have a resolution. I want it to be resolved. Okay, let's look at another one where we're just looking at filling in one vocabulary word here. There's no doubt that Larry is genuine. Then we have a vocabulary word with a colon. He excels at telling stories that fascinate his listeners. Now, pay very close attention to the punctuation here. That colon is a clue. When we go over context clues, we'll look at these small little clues that will help us to identify which word fits best. Let's see if you can find the best word that fits here. Okay, here's the answer. Did you get it correct? Basically, that colon is a clue. It's telling us the definition of the word. He excels at telling stories. So we understand that this word is basically someone who likes to tell stories and fascinate people. Alright, let's look at another example here. Keep in mind transition words like although and however and but. Sometimes because is a clue. Here we are using the word because. Okay, the answer. Did you get the answer correct? Alright, a few more examples of transitional words. It's very important that we understand the meanings of these transitional words. We're looking at contrasting and comparison. Alright, and even again that punctuation is important. Knowing how that punctuation plays a role in understanding the overall meaning in the context of the sentence. Okay, keep in mind now, these critical reading past sections actually will measure your ability to think critically and answer questions relating to what you've read. So it's important that when you are reading through the passage-based questions, that you take some notes. Maybe if you're not taking notes, you can go ahead and underline keywords and phrases so that when you're going through the questions, you can go ahead and skim back rather than rereading the passages over again and taking more time. Now again, I did tell you that it's okay to try to start answering questions without reading the passages, but if you do go ahead and read the passages, it's important that you take some kind of notes or do some underlining. A few things these questions are going to look into. They're going to look at vocabulary usage. Okay, a lot of it is about finding phrases or words to use in place of. So looking at synonyms, understanding how to rephrase things, put things in a different way. So expanding on the vocabulary. Again, you're going to be looking at context clues. What is the overall meaning of the sentence in the passage? It'll also ask you questions relating to comprehension. Okay, so you'll be looking at main ideas. What is the author's intent? These are the type of questions that will be asked, as well as extended reasoning. Can I make an inference? Okay, inference is basically a fancy word for assumption or drawing conclusions. Okay, keep in mind when you're reading these questions, read it carefully. Alright, take notes, underline main ideas. Generally, the first sentence of every paragraph is going to be your topic sentence. That's the most important one. You probably want to practice your skimming skills where you can skim for details. That will help save you a lot of time. Okay, so keep in mind when we're going over these examples, what is the question that's being asked, and is it possible for me to answer that question without reading the entire passage? Here's a portion of the passage, and we'll try to answer a couple questions relating to this passage. Let's try and see if we can answer the first question without reading it. Okay, it's referring to line 4, looking at the word surveying. What does it most nearly mean? So let's refer back to line 4. We probably want to underline it. We may even want to read the sentence that precedes it and the sentence that follows it to help us understand what that word surveying means. So we're looking at context clues. Let's see if you can go ahead and answer the first question. In the passage base, it's talking about surveying rocks as a paleontology graduate student. So probably the best answer for this would be examining comprehensively. Okay, let's go on to the next question. It can be inferred. Now, whenever you see the question inferred, you know that we're making an inference. We're drawing a conclusion. Okay? His hands began to shake because Xingwang was what? We're looking at line 9. So here we can go ahead and we don't need to read the entire passage. We can go ahead and look at line 9 and see if we can identify the best answer there. Let's see if you can find that answer. Did you get the answers correct? The last one asked you to basically make some inferences and draw some conclusions, though it was not stated in the passage. Okay, a few things to keep in mind when reading: keeping a positive attitude, all right, and read that introduction. Probably that introduction, that first paragraph is most important. Pay close attention to those topic sentences. They introduce everything and they carry the paragraphs. All right. A few other skills that are really important for the reading part is to be able to summarize. When you summarize, you're really making sure that you are understanding what you have read. Okay, underlining. Again, I keep saying this: underlining main ideas, underlining points in the paragraph, so you don't have to keep rereading. You can go through, you can skim it, you can even scan for information. So those reading skills are really critical to work on and improve before you take that SAT. You can go ahead and read those questions, but if it's difficult for you, maybe you shouldn't read those questions. Okay, SAT asks some repetitive questions throughout. You will see a lot of consistency there. All right, probably the hardest part of the reading section is those double reading passages. You have to read both passages and then you have to answer the questions. Ideally speaking, the best thing to do is to read that first passage and then go to those questions, or even go to the questions first and then look at if you can answer those questions without reading, but rather referring to the passage to save yourself a little bit of time. And these methodologies you would find out only through practice. So it's important to practice these questions before you take the SAT. What are you most comfortable doing? Can you answer questions without reading just by referring or going back to the text? Or are you more comfortable with reading the passages and then answering questions? So you have to kind of determine what are you more comfortable with in regards to the time factor. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this little overview about the reading section of the SAT. If you would like to have more information, please do visit us at www.learnexacademy.com or write to us at care@learnexacademy.com. And please do join us on Skype, learnex.tech and learnex.academy. I hope you enjoyed the presentation today. Thank you.